Welcome to the Strategy Mob Podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here with Digital Dealership Solution. Today, I have a very special guest, Mr. Matt Chiem. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Matt, for everybody out there that's listening and watching, if you can kind of give us that origin story that is Matt, that'll be a great place for us to start.
Sure. Just to give a little bit of an idea for who I am, right now I'm pretty much just a recent graduate of university. I did business school. Reason being, mostly because my parents kind of pushed me in that direction, not necessarily if it was, the right move for me, although it has been, I would say, beneficial in general. In terms of what I'm doing now, I'm going towards trying to create some sort of personal brand and posting content and delivering value online. There's a bunch of different reasons why for that is, but the biggest kind of, need or the push that put me over that edge was a lot of the content I consumed from Gary Vee. For people who don't know, Gary Vee is basically big on creating a brand, give, and creating some sort of platform where you can kind of deliver. Another reason why I'm not, probably a lot of people, if this is an automotive kind of sales show, they know Grant Cardone.
Yep.
Either if you become obscure, you're dying. And it's become very clear to me that no matter what you want to do, you're going to want to create a brand. So that's kind of my main mission. Around what exactly my brand's going to be, I don't know exactly, but I am documenting the process at the moment.
Matt, that's what I love so much about you, man, because it's like I love the fact that you don't know, right? Like, I mean, I got a lot of people that are listening and watching to this podcast, and they're salespeople or they're sales managers or they're parts managers or they're dealer principals or their owners, stuff like that. And they know, but they still haven't gotten to the part where they're actually able to create a brand. But you have gone so far as like, hey, I'm gonna start creating my personal brand now. And then as that brand starts to develop, then I'll be able to define what I want to do and how I want to execute it. So let's start with this. Walk me a little bit through that path. Like, when did you get started? What was your level of commitment, and then kind of up to today?
So I would say about a year ago, I started posting online any sort of content, and you can probably find old videos of me where I'm talking about, I used to actually do lucid dreaming. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's basically becoming conscious in your mind while you sleep in your dreams so you can start to control your dreams. I was doing that semi-consistently, but then I had to leave. I had to go do sales for a few months. Reason being, my communication skills, number one, weren't the best. Number two, obviously I wasn't earning any income, just talking about lucid dreaming online. So that, practicality, I have to make money. And I would say that has, that skill of learning sales, and I know a lot of the audience probably has that skill, is such a key kind of factor that helped me a lot be able to talk online now and talk to you even right now.
Yeah, like when I'm thinking about like your creation of your content and the efforts you're putting into it, like how did it kind of get started to where it is today? For the last few months, you've been crushing it, but there was a little bit of buildup in between there, right?
It was almost like a light switch. I honestly want to say it was almost like a light switch, and it's once I heard Gary Vee talk about the $1.80 strategy. So we'll go more into the origin story. My friend and myself, his name's Liam, we actually created another page before called Purple Growers. If you go on Instagram right now and search up Purple Growers, you'll find a page of two kids, me and my friend, growing weed in a basement. And we went from 0 to 3,000 followers in about 100 days.
It's cool.
The way we did that, and this is, I swear to God, this is the whole gist of how to make content on Instagram and get some traction, is getting involved in the community. So search your hashtag. This is Gary Vee's $1.80 strategy, whatever your hashtag was. For us, it was growing weed. Now I kind of got away from that. Search your hashtag. So if you're doing automotive, I guarantee this would work. If you go into automotive, search hashtag cars, hashtag car dealer, and comment in on every single post. Every single post, leave an insightful answer. Say if they post a car of like a red Ferrari and your favorite car is a Ferrari. I love red Ferraris. Love the picture, man. Post. one thing I found this takes this to the next level in terms of getting a lot of engagement is hopping in the DMs right after. I don't know what it is, but getting that kind of a little bit of it's like a one-on-one connection. It's like another level. It's more special. I find that has really helped kind of lead to more engaging content. And even right now, after about, I'd say my first week, I gained about 200 followers and a lot of engaging followers too in a week, with no ads spent. Think of that just from engaging. I think that's just a major key.
Oh no, for sure. It's about engagement, right? But it's also about being relevant. I love Gary Vee's $180 strategy, but going in there and just copying and pasting some garbage of a comment doesn't mean anything. Like, you need to be relevant to the person that you're talking to. So it's like, I've seen a lot of people execute, Gary Vee's $180 strategy, but it's just literally copy and paste. It's like, here's, it's just like, boom, great post. Paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Like, that's bullshit, right? Like, social media, right? I think just as a society, we're actually pretty good on the media side of social media, right? Like the capturing and like just putting shit out there, but it's the social part that we seem to kind of forget about. Like, look, dude, I'm early MySpace. Like, my first social media was MySpace, and God, was that 2003, 2002, probably, when I had a MySpace page. Like, it was all about just being social. It was about talking. It was about having conversations. And it's like, at some point in time during, social media's, evolution, we stopped being social in social media. We just started to just become these media like machines and not actually the social part. So walk me a little bit through your day-to-day efforts on the social part of social media.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing that I think you're going to notice right away is it's not very complicated. It's not complicated at all.
No,
it's just work, and I know there's always this one line Gary Vee says. He says, people don't want to fucking do the work. Nobody wants to do the work.
Yep.
But if seriously, I'll open Instagram. I have preferred hashtags that I go to now. I'll just say one of them. I used to go on the Gary Vee hashtag, the Gary Vee challenge.
Yep.
I'll search that up and go to recent. I go to recent, every single post, and I'm talking all of them. I'll look at it, comment on it. Say it's a post of somebody with their dog that they just got, and it's like a Labradoodle. I love Labradoodles. Hopefully it's not too much.
You love Labradoodles? That's cool.
Yeah, something relevant to what they're saying. And one tip that I'll give, that I'm telling you, it takes it to the next level, really getting a lot more engagement, is go to the profile and do a couple of their posts. Be relevant to all of them. So to have a Labradoodle, cool. Then they have another photo where they're talking about some quote, about being positive. Talk to that quote. Does it remind you to another quote? And I'll do that for a couple, and then hop in the DMs. Say, I love the content you're posting out, if you love it, and talk to what they actually put out. Make it relevant. You can't make it a spam if it's relevant to what they're saying. I find that creates that connection. It's not, I don't know, genuine, it's the best word for it, but it gets you to that next level. You're going to get a reply, and then you're going to, you're creating connections. You're being social on social media. And
isn't that the way we connected? Like, I'm actually thinking about this for a second. Is that not the way we connected?
I would say probably like an 80% chance it was.
What's up, man? I just found your page here using the Gary Vee hashtag. Love what you're doing. Your posts a decent amount, which is something I think most people struggle with. That was the conversation, right? That's just real. And then for everyone out there watching, the little heart emoji. Matt gave me a heart emoji, which is why I responded back to him. No, dude. But seriously, it's about making human-to-human connection. That is what social media was. That's what it was intended for in the very, very beginning. And for some reason, we seem to forget that is actually what it's still there for. Now, walk me through the strategy a little bit. What are and I'm sure there's probably a lot of hashtags you're working right now. What are your top 3 hashtags that you're following right now and working?
My big interest is podcasting. I started a podcast. Psychology. I love psychology, and the Gary Vee challenge is the 3 that I really went into. One thing I wanted to hop back into though before was how much work it actually is. Because I don't think a lot of people actually realize this.
Yeah.
Is that, you actually got to put in hours. It's not to do everything I just said there for one person might take, I don't know, per post. If you actually look at what they're doing in the video, it might take you anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes for one person. Right.
Oh, easy.
So if you're trying to hit 90 people a day, you're looking at a minimum 2 minutes each out of 180 minutes, right? That's 3 hours right there to hit 90 people. I just really wanted to show people the math, because it actually is a lot of work. Like, if you want to do this, it's just work, but it's not complicated. It's not like a secret. It's not, it's right in front of you. Like, that's it. That's what Gary says to do. That's what worked. What happened with Purple Growers, what was happening right now.
And what is the return on your investment been with that so far?
I would say at the beginning, if you just did that, let's say I was putting in about 3 to 4 hours a day of just commenting and posting. I would say a return you would get in terms of followers, it really depends how many people you talk to, but 30 on one day, and then it compounds, right? The longer you go on, the more people have been in the pipeline, it compounds higher and higher. But
well, and I think that's what's key, is that people have to understand that this is a game of commitment and routine, right? Mm-hmm. Like, dude, look, I got no problem admitting I got about 35 pounds I want to lose. All right. I know what the goal and objective is. Okay. And I know what I need to do it, but I still got to freaking commit to the routine to actually getting that shit done. Otherwise, it is never going to happen, right? Like, if you're wanting to create a personal brand, if you're wanting to make these connections and build out those opportunities, then you need to spend the time. You need to create your routine. So walk me through that daily routine for you. What time do you normally wake up? I'm now going to ask you the tough questions now. Come on, Matt. What time do you wake up? 11:30.
Yeah, about there. I'd say about 12 o'clock. But I honestly don't know the real answer to this, and I'd be interested to hear what you say to this too. But there's like a culture I find around now. Wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So then you go to sleep. Obviously, if you're going to wake up at 5 or 6, you got to go to sleep at 10 to get a good enough amount of sleep. For myself, I know myself. Maybe I don't need, but I really, really feel a lot better if I have about 8 hours of sleep. About 5 sleep cycles is what I need to kind of feel good.
Dude, and it's very good that you're self-aware of that. Like, that is so insanely important, okay? For me, it's 6 hours. If I get anything less than 6 hours, I'm screwed. I am totally 100% screwed for the day, okay? I can, 3 days a week, I do 6, 2 days a week, I do 8. And it's just committing to that routine. For me, I get hardcore about the routine. I wake up at 5 a.m. I got 3 kids and I'm married. So, little different place than you are, right? Like, so like, I got to get a couple hours in before my kids get up. So I get up at 5 a.m. I work from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And that allows me to do a lot of my administrative bullshit. Because look, at the end of the day, I'm running a business. I got to get this stuff done, right? And then my guys show up at my place about 9 a.m. So I get my kids to school, get them all ready. Today I made pancakes and bacon, But then I literally, I'm on the road and I am I'm just literally busting my ass the entire time, making content, doing meetings between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then I'm home. Then I do dinner and playtime with the kids. And then I'm back at it between about 8:30 to 11 o'clock at night. And then again, repeat at 5 a.m. So I do that 3 times a week. And then we'll shut down a little earlier so I can get the 8 hours of sleep twice a week. But it's all about being self-aware. That's why I'm telling you this. I'm not trying to boast what my routine is. I don't really give a crap. I shut down during the weekends. I'm sure there are other people that don't do that, but I do. I shut down during the weekends. But it's creating that routine that is the important part, right?
Yeah, and from all the research I've done on this, on sleep in general, is generally that you have a circadian rhythm, right? So you want to keep in it daily. I know you have a little bit on where you go on the weekend, you might extend a little bit, but generally speaking, as long as you're not sleeping too erratically, I think I read one study that said something along the lines that like shift workers, they have they're kind of unhealthy because sleep. They have to move their sleep schedule because of their work, which it's not the best. The other thing though, I'm more of a night owl. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know if I've read research on this too that say apparently that sleeping from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. you get, your sleep's worth twice as much, the quality is that much better. But I've also heard people say that, it's genetic gear. You might be more geared towards the night or the day. I don't know, but
dude, I think at the end of the day, I think it's pretty darn cool that even at your age, that you're aware. That I think is what's key, is that people that are out there that are grinding hard, they just need to be aware of who they are, both mentally and physically, and give them what they need to continue to execute at the level that they want to execute. That's the most important part. Okay, let's get a little more into content. Let's talk about content. All right. So your content is, look, dude, you tried a little bit of everything. You're tasting this, you're tasting that. Tell me a little bit about your content right now, what you're putting out there.
So I've been kind of tasting all the different forms. So we have, written, text, and video. Mm-hmm. In terms of what type of content I'm trying to put out personally is, I honestly think I'm falling in love with the audio, kind of maybe long form video audio side. And that's what we're doing right now.
There you go.
I honestly think that having a podcast is a hack. It's almost like a hack.
It is. It's an amazing hack.
It's amazing. Way more people say yes to a podcast than you would guess, first of all. Could you speak? Do you think a lot of people say yes more than you would have guessed beforehand, or?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm trying to think. I've done, like I said, I've done a little over 160 podcasts in 9 months. I probably got maybe 7 people that told me no. I really, it is pretty straightforward, especially with technology and the way we're able to talk. I mean, I'm in Toronto, you're in Nova Scotia, so at least we're on the same, are we on the same time schedule? Yeah, we're on the same time schedule. But I mean, I've had podcasts with people in the UK, China, or in Hong Kong, and in New Zealand, and Australia, and Germany. So it's like you could do this literally any time of the day, all day long.
So it's super easy. Way more people say yes. Mm-hmm. But then you can take it to the next level, because no matter what it is that you want to learn, in my mind, if you just go for the podcast, you can find that expert in that field, and you can have, one-on-one time for an hour, literally.
It's true.
I'll give a good example. I had a podcast with John Veracke. He's one of the top, cognitive scientists. And this is a very, very smart guy. And at the end of the podcast, he said, yeah, and people can pay me for my Patreon so they can get something like you had right now, where, just paying to pay. I didn't do anything special. I just recorded it on Skype, a podcast, but you get an hour with this guy. You can ask, you get an hour with a very educated guy. You can really get some good questions out there. Then, you were talking about this, how much content you can even get just from recording one podcast too. Yep. It's the base of the pyramid, right? You can split it up. So that you can do it one long form that's on all the podcast platforms, a video podcast on YouTube. You can split it up into maybe 3 different chunks on YouTube, where me and you talk about, our sleep.
Oh yeah, dude, there's all kinds of ways you can do it. We typically do an audio long form, a video long form. We'll do 3 to 5 chunks, which are usually 3 to 5 minutes long, which are usually conversations back and forth so that there's a story being told. Then there'll be probably another 3 to 5 tidbits, which are usually of me or yourself kind of rambling for about a minute or so, that drives home a specific, topic or subject matter. And then you build single image post or quotes off of what a podcast for me typically can represent about 20 to 40 pieces of content. And that can be done vertically, square, 5x6, 16x9. Like, this can be done in all those formats that are required for any network out there. It is a gold mine of information.
Have you found, I'm not sure, have you found any kind of success? Are you using TikTok at all with podcasts?
For a while there, I wasn't going to do TikTok because, don't get me wrong. I really like Gary Vee, but, I'm also very aware of who my audience is. So, right. I'm not creating content. Like, dude, I don't want 200,000 followers. I don't give a shit. Right. Like I'm very focused about who I connect with and who follows me. And I want to be in that automotive vertical, that automotive space. So I don't necessarily just kind of stray outside of that. So my question was always kind of to myself, like, why would someone in the automotive industry want to follow me on TikTok? And for the longest time, for the last 3 or 4 months, I just couldn't answer that question. So that's why I just never got into it. Over the holidays, I got some time to think about it. And I was like, you know what? There's 2 purposes why we put content out there, and that's to educate and entertain, right? I felt like I've been doing a really good job of putting out a tremendous amount of content around educating. But I haven't been doing necessarily a good job of, I would say, entertaining my audience. So I was like, you know what? Okay, there's a correlation here. There's a connection here. This is why I'm going to get into TikTok. So I launched a TikTok account yesterday, a few days ago. Put out our first one yesterday. There'll be one every single day now moving forward for the rest of time. And it's just literally, it's capturing kind of my day-to-day hustle, combined with some cool, fun music and stuff like that, right? So the people that do follow me will appreciate following the content in the sense that it highlights and shows what that day-to-day hustle is, but there's an entertaining factor through that, through correlating and connecting that to music. So I'm in. I'm totally in now.
Sweet.
When did you start? Did you start doing yours?
TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been posting, I'd say maybe about 1 a day for the last month or 2.
Cool.
And I will say this. The TikTok that worked were just like entertaining little funny little bits that were just kind of, if you look at them, they'd be stupid, but they worked.
Well, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? I mean, I got no beef with the fact that people want to connect with other people so that they're either educated or entertained. And I think it's a great place when you're able to do both. If I can throw in 3 or 4 pieces about education, and then every 4th or 5th piece, I throw in an entertainment piece, look, it just kind of creates that, it maintains that stickiness on why you would continue to follow me and connect with me and engage with my content. So I don't see any beef with it whatsoever. In fact, actually, Austin, the guy that works for me, he's my D-Rock, is actually shooting a TikTok right now as we speak.
I love that. So
let's get a little more into content. There are a couple different subject matters that you've been touching on. What are a couple of the subject matters or verticals that you've been tasting or touching on in the last couple months?
Okay, I'll tell you my favorite one is, and again, it goes back to podcasts. It's just doing these kind of different interviews. I don't know if I would consider myself too much of an expert on much, but really, in my mind, if you can get a podcast going, you can start interviewing people that are smarter than myself, and then you learn from them, and then you can spread that way on all the different kind of social media platforms.
So you found a hack. Now you understand, I am a connoisseur of hacks. I love hacks. Okay. So let's dissect this a little bit. So walk me through this hack. So, you go into a vertical space. Give me a subject matter that you're working on right now that you recently did a podcast on.
Dehumanization.
Okay, that's a pretty thick one. Okay, so what was a podcast, or who did you recently do a podcast on this matter, on the subject matter?
So I read a book from an author, David Livingstone Smith, and he wrote about, in the book he actually wrote about evolutionary psychology. It's about why we lie, how does self-deception happen.
Okay, makes sense.
I contacted him. This book was written about 10 years ago. He said he's moved on from that. It's into dehumanization, but he's down to do a podcast. I said, whatever, sure. And then I just kind of started doing research on what he was talking about. It's pretty interesting. I mean, this question of why did the Holocaust happen? Why were people racist? That kind of idea. And I got to ask, a university professor, somebody who studied this for his life, why does dehumanization happen? How does it affect the brain? What kind of what is the soup of ingredients that needs to happen in society to
all
lead
the things
to
that mix together?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
So what was the question, sorry?
So, okay. So this was a space. Now you came across this book. How? Just randomly? Is this a subject? I'm just trying to figure out, I'm trying to dissect it. Is this a subject matter that you're interested in?
Look, we can go into a little bit of the origins of like Matt Chiem, but I'm very interested by pretty much any kind of psychology, philosophy, that kind of idea. So that's how I kind of came into the book.
But you got a copy of the book, you read the book, mm-hmm. you reached out to the author, all right? Yep. You had some back and forth with the author. He agreed to do a podcast with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So you guys did a podcast together. You learned a substantial amount of information, all right, from him during the podcast. Then you're able to kind of consume, digest, process, and then put out content about what you learned. Is that correct?
You can put out what you learned. And even better, think of it. We're taking the podcast. We can take that podcast and redistribute it and contextualize all the different forms. So I don't even need to tell them what I learned. I can just take it straight from the podcast. And David, the author, can tell you the straight facts coming, from the horse's mouth type video.
Sure.
And, that's what we're going back to. The podcast is the pyramid. But if I'm learning, there's definitely people out there that are also interested in the subject. They get to learn too. And I find it's just like a win-win.
Yeah, it's just exponentially you get to connect with each other, right? Through your interest and your love of the subject matter. That's awesome. Like I said, I'm always in for a hack. When I first started doing video, look, I run an agency, okay? I thought I was going to be in a green screen room every single day, and I was going to put out these amazing videos, and it was going to be so freaking awesome. Like I went as far as creating the room, painting all the walls, getting all the cameras, doing all the lighting. Dude, I was in this green screen room for 2 days, and then I went, this is bullshit. Like, I got a business to run. Like, this ain't going to work, right? Mm-hmm. So then I had to find a hack. I had to hack it, right? And I knew I was on the road all the time, visiting clients, talking to clients. So I mounted 2 GoPros in my car and literally just started hitting the button and just started recording as I was visiting these clients, before I visit the client, after I visit the client, what I learned during that. But it's through that self-exploitation, right, that people were able to connect with me. It's no different than what you're doing right now, right, with connecting with, with the author of the book, all right, and learning through them. That self-exploitation is what other people are connecting with you. See, I feel like people think that they have to have, when they get into the content game, they have to have some type of shtick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's not a shtick here. There's nothing here. Like, it's just you. It's the hack is you documenting, all right, and learning and experiencing through others.
And then to go off of that, people always kind of start feeling like, okay, I'm going to get into XYZ niche. And then maybe a month in it, they're like, oh, I don't like this anymore. Like, what did I do? I really don't think you got to make it that big of a deal for, how you start out or what your big thing is. It doesn't seem to make sense, right? It's hard to say, what you're going to like a year from now, 2 years or 5 or 10 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
If, to use Gary as an example, he got into the social media game on wine, and then he's doing a little bit. If you look at him, if you're current with him, he does like garage sailing or what are the sports cars or entrepreneurship. I find this is a little struggle I had myself. Was like, okay, what do I want to do? I got to do only that thing, and that's when I was doing lucid dreaming. I was growing weed. You can kind of just document the process of you trying a bunch of different things and put it. I'm a fan of putting it all in one place and just having it as you, but I don't know too much about that.
Don't know, Matt. I think what it is that you're documenting, you learning, you exploring, you're educating yourself, right? And I think a lot of people think that when they get into this game is that they have to have a very defined goal and objective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say your goal and objective is with what you're currently doing right now?
Funny enough, I would say it's to taste,
That's good. I like that. And that is a goal and objective. See, I think for people out there is that they think of this and they're afraid to get into the content game. They're afraid of hitting that stupid red button because they're so concerned that they have to have this formula for return on investment and return on their time and all this stuff. And it's like, no, it's just hit the red button. Like let people learn and be educated side by side with you. And as you're tasting, as you're learning, you're going to start to find what you ultimately want to do. Matt, for the audience out there that's listening or watching, how old are you real quick?
21.
Okay. Matt, do you know what you want to do with your life?
No.
And that is okay, right? Let's take a moment there to actually say that is totally freaking okay. I wish someone when I was 21 told me that, dude, that's totally okay, right? Like that's not what I was told when I was 21. What I was told when I was 21 was, what are you doing with your life? Why the hell aren't you out there doing something, right? So I was constantly pushed to do that. I'm not one of those people that like to go back and say, I wish I did this. I wish I did this. I wish I did this. But man, I do. There is one thing I probably do wish, right? Is that somebody pushed me to taste and taste more. It's only now where I've actually started to find my passion. I could have found my passion and my love a lot earlier on if someone encouraged and pushed me to taste and taste a lot more.
One of my mentors growing up, it's funny, I don't know if it was Ty Lopez. I just listened to the guy. And one of the things he opened me up to was the idea that to win in life, the person who wins in life is the person who does the most experiments. Now, I will, there's another thing Ty says that I will kind of add a little caveat on there is just because you learn more by doing more experiments, there's another saying, you only learn from mistakes, but then Warren Buffett adds on, but they don't have to be yours. So it's a kind of a little bit of a balance there, but I think those two things have really, really, that was like a software update for my mind, I thought.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Hey, for everyone out there that's listening or watching right now, and they're appreciating what you're doing and your ability to execute. All right. What advice would you give them as far as, them, I guess, just hitting that red button and getting started?
I would say first, self-awareness. Maybe it's not right for you, completely honest. Maybe you shouldn't do content, but maybe you should. So you have to be aware. Okay. If you're not aware, you're pretty much operating in the dark. So you got to know, what do you want? What do you need to get there? The other thing I would say too, is when you start looking for advice, go to the top. I would say, whatever you want to be, get as close to the north, that star as you can. So if you want to be, or you're considering becoming like the best kind of social media brand for a personal brand, maybe go to the top. Look at what guys look at all the celebrities. Why are they so popular? Look at all the top popular brands that you most like. I would say, one thing that I've found is be kind of selective with who you listen to. That's why I'm trying not to give too much advice, because I probably wouldn't listen to me if I were to tell. But go to the top, learn from people who've done it before you, build upon what's already been done there. Isaac Newton said, the reason why I stand so tall is because I stand on the shoulder of giants. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yep.
That I think is the main key. And then the other one, awareness, if you're not aware, if you don't know, you don't know, if you don't know, you literally just don't know. You can't say yes or no to something, or even have an idea of how to make a better decision because you don't know anything about it. So awareness, you got to know a lot of stuff, I think.
Dude, I think taking that time to become self-aware, to knowing who you are, what you're passionate about, and really making a commitment to tasting. See, that's what I see. That's what I see you've done. You've made that commitment to taste, right? And you've made the commitment to not only taste, but also engage. Thank you for engaging. Let's take a moment to thank Matt, all right, for actually being social on social media. Thank you, Matt, for being social on social media. But no, dude, I think it's through that exportation and through that tasting that you're going to find what you're doing. And I think there's so many people out there that can actually learn and appreciate that. Hey, for everybody out there that's listening right now or watching right now, would love to connect with you and kind of follow you along with that journey. What's the best way to do so?
You can follow me on Instagram at Matt Chiem. That's MATTCHIEM1. So that's my Instagram, or podcast. Just go to any sort of podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, Podbean. Just type in the Matt Chiem Experience.
Awesome. Hey, Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Have a good one.